Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. Today, pcvr is back with the action-adventure title Hubris. I've been eager to get my hands on the full version of this game ever since I played a demo a few months back and was absolutely blown away by the graphics. And now I'm even more excited to share my experience with you, which has been absolutely fantastic, but flawed. So let's get into my standard spoiler-free review, which will give you all this game's details, go over my personal experience and do I recommend it, provide a review score, and then finally show off some additional gameplay. Now there are of course links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead, but let's start things off with the summary. Hubris is currently available on Steam for $40. A future 2023 release is planned for both PlayStation VR 2 and the Quest 2. It's approximately 6 hours of absolutely beautiful graphics, platforming, climbing, swimming, light puzzles, and intense shooter action. This adventure title is fully voice acted, featuring cutscenes, and an intriguing storyline that has you crash landing on an alien world. You're working for a potentially nefarious spacefaring organization known as the OOO. You're a new cadet who gets rerouted to help assist in a mysterious ongoing mission, and then everything goes sideways. Not only will you have to survive the hostile wildlife, but there's also a lot more going on this planet that'll slowly be revealed to you. Mechanically, the game is what we've come to expect from a VR action-adventure title. Climbing, jumping, puzzle solving, scavenging for resources, and shooting up a whole bunch of enemies. The upgrade system in this title allows you to take random scraps found around the world, recycle them down into base components, and then use those materials to either upgrade your weapons or print out some new items. Now the overall presentation of this title is a lot more than we typically get in a VR game, but it's not without its issues, so let's move right into my overall experience. For starters, the graphical fidelity of this title cannot be understated. It easily compares with something like Half-Life Alyx, and even after playing the game's demo multiple times, I was still taken back by how beautiful this game looks.
This is why I love pcvr. It is just stunning. Like, that doesn't look like some texture out in the distance. It looks real.
Attention, we're receiving.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I've played this demo before, but oh, this is unbelievably stunning. Oh, look at this world.
Drone over there, on top of that rock. I tried to reactivate it, but the battery is wasted. So if you can climb out of the water and put a new battery in, then I can re-enter the Great, you did it.
And VR is all about immersion, so the title absolutely crushes it here. Unfortunately though, some of the scenes show with less than fantastic voice acting, some minor bugs like getting stuck inside objects that also break the immersion, and some inconvenient save points that may have you listening to the same dialogue over and over again. Now all of my issues with this game can be solved, and the developers are still releasing updates as we speak. But as the game stands right now, this did impact my overall review score, and this is a really good title that's just begging for a bit more polish. I was definitely intrigued by the storyline and the world building they were setting up. Swimming in VR is surprisingly awesome. I enjoyed the variety in mechanics and objectives, as the game is nicely paced, separated between cutscenes, parkour sections, combat, and then something else a bit unexpected like having to avoid landmines or turrets, or repairing a monorail. In a way, it reminded me of an action-oriented version of Lone Echo. And when it comes to the overall combat, it's a bit bland. I do like the variety in enemies, how some creatures try to sneak up on you, enemy soldiers will constantly reposition and attempt to flank you, but most of the time it just comes down to getting to cover and shooting down the enemies as fast as possible. There's nothing that really spices it up like melee combat, grenades, or power-ups. Now weighing in all the pros and cons, do I still recommend this game? For the most part, absolutely. VR is begging for higher end titles that can stand up to Half-Life Alyx. While this title falls a bit short in that regard, overall it's a lot more than we've come to expect from a VR game. If you're looking for highly immersive graphics, an interesting storyline, and a fairly lengthy single player campaign, go ahead and pick up Hubris. But if the main element you're looking for is fast-paced action, you might be a bit disappointed here. So here's the overall verdict. Hubris is a full package VR title with plenty of mechanics, a compelling storyline, and absolutely fantastic graphics. Unfortunately though, it's a little rough around the edges that either reduce the game's overall immersion or make it more frustrating than it needs to be. The pros include a compelling storyline with interesting cutscenes, a 6+ hour campaign, a nice level of variety, and some absolutely stunning graphics. On the con side, we have some bland combat and a lack of polish that may be hard to forgive. Overall though, it's a lot more than we typically get from a VR title, and it reminds me why I love pcvr so much. Now let's jump into some additional gameplay where I'll keep spoilers to a minimum, but just once again show off some of the elements I was talking about. Right here, the graphics are undeniably stunning, and if more VR games look like this, I think it would be much easier to sell the technology.
Let's see. What does the OOO database say about this flora? Not bad.
Puzzles in this title are fairly light and usually consist of finding resources, building a specific item, or moving around some crates or other objects. Now, some of the overall voice acting was just okay, which is a shame because the production value is so high in some other areas.
What the hell is this?
Now, swimming in this title feels absolutely fantastic, but I had some gripes about climbing. For whatever reason, your grip feels a bit inconsistent, and I miss ledges frequently, leading to a large amount of frustration.
Oof, got it. Well, hi.
You probably wonder why we ended up in the water.
Suffering.
Well, I was flying towards the space.
Whoa.
And another unnecessary frustration was the out of bounds issue. Now, I did speak to the developers on this and I hope they resolve it, but it's pretty easy to get trapped inside of objects or outright killed when you physically move your body into them.
Whee!
Most VR titles just shove you back, but not Hubris. Okay, everybody, that was my review for Hubris. If you have any additional questions, drop them in the comments. I will get back to you. If you enjoyed this, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. As always, I'll see you guys on next time.
The Vion Company cannot be held responsible in case of medical failure due to the use of any of the medical instruments. Use the forceps to pull out the object.
Be careful with that blade. Looks like it is still energized.